Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the all-new iPhone 16e. This is the latest, cheapest phone from Apple, which is no longer really that cheap. It comes in at $599 with 128 gigs of storage. That's what we have here. It also goes up to $699 with 256 and $899 with 512. We have a black and white color, and when you take a look at the boxes, you can't really tell anything until you turn them, and then you have black and white. So they haven't changed the wallpaper or anything else, and it's a bit odd. If we take a look at the back here, you'll see it just says iPhone 16e. So let's go ahead and open them up, take a look at them, see what they have to offer, get them set up and more. So we'll go ahead and open this one up. There we go. Let's take the cover off here. And we have what looks to be a matte white finish. Let's open the black one as well. There we are. We'll take the top off the box here. And we have a matte black. I think the black actually looks pretty great. Let's set the phone aside and take a look at what we get in the box. So it looks like we don't even have any paperwork or anything with it this time around, which is a little bit odd. But we do have I guess it's under the cable, but we do have a braided cable, USB-C to USB-C. Nice braiding. It doesn't match the phone though. And then again, some paperwork underneath it. Let's go ahead and remove that. And all we've got is it says you no longer need a physical SIM card. Activate your eSIM during iPhone setup. And then it's just sort of a warranty card. So again, no stickers. Apple has removed that. No charger. Nothing else at this point. So basically just the phone and a charge cable. Let's go ahead and close the boxes up and take a closer look at the phones themselves. And what we have internally is the A18 chipset, but with one less GPU core and also 8 gigs of RAM. Again, it's their most affordable model, but the overall size, let's take a look at that, is very similar to what we had with the iPhone 14. So you can see here's the iPhone 14 side by side, but of course just one camera in the back. We have a 48 megapixel camera, a microphone, and a flash. On the right-hand side here, we have a power sleep wake button. Then on the bottom, we have our speaker, microphone, and USB-C. And then on the left-hand side, we do get the action button and some volume buttons. Nothing on the top. And again, if you want to see the white one side by side, it's got sort of an aluminum or clean aluminum look to it. And again, on the sides here, I really like the matte black, but some people think it's just too bland. Also, we've got cases, of course. We'll take a look at what they look like toward the end of the video, as many people asked during my case video. So again, very similar in size to what we have with the iPhone 16 as well, but it's actually a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit shorter. You can see it here, and then face to face, top down. That gives you an idea of overall size. So very, very similar here. When it comes to the materials, of course, we have glass front and back, but we have ceramic shield, but the last generation. So it's not 50% less resistant to scratches. We also don't have the camera control button. We also have USB-C, as I mentioned before, but we don't have MagSafe, but we can wirelessly charge up to 7.5 watts. Now let's go ahead and turn this on. We'll get it set up, and I'll transfer it over on one phone. I'll just get one set up very quickly. But this should have a pretty large battery overall, 3,961 milliamp hours compared to the iPhone 16's 3,561 milliamp hour. Thanks to the all-new C1 modem, so they replaced the Qualcomm modem. It's supposedly 25% more efficient, which gives it even more battery life than the iPhone 16 by about 4 hours or so. So we'll have to test that out and see what it's like. So here we have the phone. Let's go ahead and boot the other one up as well. Give it a second to boot up. And you'll see pretty thick bezels overall. So when it comes to the display, it is still a 6.1-inch display. So what we have here is a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, 2532 by 1170 at 460 pixels per inch. However, it only goes up to 800 nits of brightness with regular usage and 1200 nits HDR. So if we turn it back on, swipe up, let's get it set up maybe with the iPhone 16 Plus that I have here. So I'll go ahead and get it set up with this iPhone 16 Plus. We'll get things ready here and connect. I'll walk you through the setup, and then we'll take a look at what we have once they're set up. You can set them up for yourself or a child, so we'll get started here. We'll put in the passcode of the other phone, and then it says it may take a few minutes to activate. Now I will add an eSIM, but not from this phone since it's not activated here. I'll add it from my main phone, but since this is actually not on a beta and it's not available yet for the 16E, I'll have to do that later. So I'll try this out. I want to see what the modem is like, see if it's better than Qualcomm or not. Of course, we do have Face ID and a notch here, so we'll go ahead and tap continue, get this started, and let's get this set up. So we'll just do this. There we go. And you can use it with or without a mask, set that up later if you want, and then tap continue. Now here's where you can just continue and not set anything up, or you can transfer from another phone. I'll transfer from this phone, so we'll get the account set up. Give it a moment here. It said signing in. We have to agree to terms and conditions. One thing I will note is this does not seem to rock on the table like the iPhone 16 Plus does. So it does have a little click, but doesn't rock like the other one. And also while we wait for that, here's a quick size comparison with the iPhone SE3 that it replaces. So you'll see here, much bigger that way, a little bit thicker. Of course, Face ID, OLED, and that gives you a size idea of the overall phone. So definitely bigger with the new one here. Now it says make this your new phone. We can transfer everything over, including the Apple Watch Ultra 2 in black titanium. Tap continue, and then we can update your iPhone automatically. I'll only download automatically. We can enable location services for things like maps, and it will add your different cards with your Apple Wallet if you have those. Now it says Apple Intelligence, tells you about the different features here. We'll tap continue, and we have visual intelligence with this one, even though we don't have camera control. We'll tap continue again, give it just a second here. Then it says Siri, we can continue. Speak to Siri, type to Siri. Again, tap continue. How's the weather? Hey Siri, send a message. Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes. Hey Siri, get directions home. Siri, play some music. And now it's ready. So we'll tap continue, and then we can use betas or don't continue. We won't continue for now. We have emergency SOS, I will use that, and then it's going to transfer data from the one phone here to the other, and it can take a while. Now on the other phone, because we're not setting it up from a different phone, it's asking me about the action button. So we have the option here, of course, to use that. We can customize it if we'd like, and we have everything from silent mode to focus to camera, visual intelligence, which we don't have on any other phone just yet, but it should be coming to the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, as well as all the other options if you want to use those. So we'll tap continue and then continue to set this one up as well. So on this phone, here's the default setup. It's asking me to set up cellular. I'll do that a little bit later on the other phone with all my data on it, but this is the default setup if you don't pick any additional options. So in general, it's pretty standard, but let's take a look at a few things. So the first thing is the action button. If we press and hold, I already have it set up for visual intelligence. Can tap continue, and we should have additional options here. So if we press and hold, you'll see visual intelligence here, and then we can grab this, move it around, but it doesn't look like we can make it any larger. So if we go to Apple Intelligence and Siri, of course we can scroll down and we have visual intelligence on this phone specifically. This should be a feature coming a little bit later on the other phones. As far as the version pre-installed, let's go ahead and take a look. So we'll go to General, and then About. You'll see it has iOS 18.3.1 with build 22D8075, and there should be a day one update. So let's take a look. And it looks like there isn't a day one update, at least on this version. So it says automatically install. We'll check again here, and it looks like it's updated here. Let's take a look at the modem update since this has the all-new C1 modem. And you'll see the modem firmware is 1.01.13. Now another thing we can check while I'm waiting for this one to transfer data, you'll see it says it will take about 12 minutes or so, and then I'll move over my eSIM. So while that's completing, let's take a look at the screen itself. This should have PWM, so let me configure it how I typically do. I turn off True Tone, since I like it to be pure white. I'll turn off Auto Lock for the video, and let's go back to accessibility. display and text. I'll turn off auto brightness, again, only because of the video. I don't want it auto adjusting or anything like that. And let's see what PWM is like. So I'll measure that using my iPhone 16 Pro Max at 240 frames per second. Now you can see at 240 frames per second, the screen is flickering. This is how it controls brightness. PWM is controlling brightness by flickering the screen faster or slower. It's how pretty much every OLED works, and on the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, it's not an issue, as it's high enough, over about 39%, that it shouldn't bother your eyes. However, on the 16E, the 16 and 16 Plus, this could definitely bother your eyes, cause headaches, eye strain, or even cause you to feel nauseated. Now, that's only about 10% of people, but if you are sensitive to it, you'll want to avoid this phone. It also has 60 Hertz, so there is no ProMotion here, so scrolling is smooth, but nothing like an iPhone 16 Pro Max. So you can see that again with slow motion. So it's not really that great of a display. It's also not as bright as some of the other displays. When it comes to the cameras, well, the forward-facing camera is basically what we had before. So if we spin it around, we can do 4K, 60 frames per second in HDR. So this is in HDR, or you can go into your settings and change that and turn off HDR. So again, let's go back in with all these initial setups, go back in 4K 60, and you'll see we have HDR video. So I don't use that, but I do lock the white balance. We'll go in, and you already saw there was some stutter when swiping home. So something that's a little bit odd to have a brand new phone with a little bit of stutter, but I think that's more along the lines of iOS 18.3.1. But the forward-facing camera should be what you expect, but let's take a look. Here's the forward-facing camera from the iPhone 16e with the microphone from the 16e as well, and it gives you an idea of what it looks like and sounds like. Now, one of the bad things is the rear-facing camera isn't stabilized. However, if we spin it around here, it's good quality, but it's not quite the same sensor that we have on the 16, and we don't have anything other than a 2x zoom where it punches into the sensor. So it should look pretty good for most things, but we are lacking some things such as macro, spatial photos or video, no Pro RAW, no stabilization, and there's no cinematic mode, action mode, or log footage. If we go into the footage I just recorded, let's see if we can adjust the mic. So we do have audio mix for in-frame, standard, studio, and cinematic. So we do have that, but we don't have 4 mics like we do on the Pro. And that's pretty much it with the camera anyway. Of course, we do have crash detection, satellite services, and IP68, 6 meters up to 30 minutes. So pretty much what we expect, but that's about it. So let's give it a moment here, see what this is like after it finishes transferring everything, and I'll move over my eSIM as well. Now, while I'm waiting for everything to transfer over, many people have asked, what do the cases look like since there's new cases available? And again, there's no MagSafe, which is a bit disappointing, but they should have added it to the case. But either way, let's take a look at each one of these colors. So here's black, and again, the black case here on the iPhone looks pretty good, pretty standard though. Let's bring in the white case. So again, here's white on this phone, looks pretty good as well. And if we mix and match, let's move over the black case. So you'll see the white case on the black iPhone. Then here's blue. So if you were considering the winter blue color, and here's blue on this one. Now we have fuchsia. So very vibrant color here. Again, that's fuchsia on this one. Fuchsia on the black phone looks pretty good overall. And then we have lake green. So here's lake green, looks pretty good on the white phone. Again, there is some lay on the table protection, and then lake green on the black phone. So I think it looks pretty good overall. So lots of choices here. Of course, you have access to all your buttons like I showed in the video about the cases themselves. Now, while we wait for the other one still to transfer so I can move over my eSIM, let's take a look at the wallpaper. So we'll go ahead and go into wallpaper. Very choppy again. I don't expect this from a new phone, but if we go into collections, you'll see the new wallpaper here, and that's pretty much it. One option. I do think it looks pretty good, but one option, and then we can do depth effect on or off, whatever you'd like, and that's what it looks like. So if you want to use this wallpaper, of course you can. I do think it looks pretty good, but I'm disappointed there's not specific ones for white and black like they've done before. Now, before I transfer over my SIM card to this new phone, let me go ahead and do a couple tests here and see what kind of speeds we get. So we'll go into speed test and I'll measure with cellular and also Wi-Fi. So here's speed test. I'm on Wi-Fi. I have Wi-Fi 7 in my house, and I also have Wi-Fi 7 on this phone, but not on the new one. So let's go ahead and tap go, see what we get. I have 1,000 down by about 40 up typically. So that's what it's capable of. And you'll see I hit over 1,000 down. So again, we'll give it just a moment here. And then upload, like I mentioned, can go up to about 40 or so. So 30 to 40 typically. I wish it was a little higher, but that's what we get. And then we'll test this again on cellular. So we'll give it just a moment here. So you'll see 997 by 38. I turned off Wi-Fi. Let's go ahead and try this again. We'll tap go, and we've got 1 bar of 5G UC. And we're getting about 300 down, 300 megabits per second down maybe. It varies greatly depending on where I am, but typically in this spot in my house, I have 1 to 2 bars, at least with this Qualcomm modem. So again, give it just a second. I do not have millimeter wave, as that's typically Verizon in the area I live in, and this is T-Mobile. So I'm getting about 2 megabits per second up, which is pretty poor actually. So 3 megabits per second up. So that's it, 188 by 3.69. So let me go ahead and transfer over my eSIM. And the way you do that is, let's just lock this for now. You'll see here's the new phone. We'll swipe up, restore complete. So now it's asking me to transfer my number. Transfer from another phone, we'll do that. And then it says transfer your number. I'll go ahead and transfer. Then it says confirm on the other phone. It says, do you want to transfer? Yes, transfer SIM. And then we double click the side here. Now it says transfer started. We can tap continue. And we should see this change. So it should change here. It should change in the upper right. It says preparing in the bottom left. It will take just a moment. It will prepare, then it will talk to the network, and then it will activate. So it does take just a moment to do that. So we'll give it a second here. You'll see it just went dark on the 16 Pro Max. Now it went into SOS. It still says preparing over here. It says connecting to network. Again, we'll give it just a moment. Now we've got some bars up here in the upper right, and now it's complete and active. So we'll tap continue. And now it says swipe up to get started. So again, we're on the home screen. We transferred our SIM card. We'll go into settings and you'll see cellular here and everything will set up. So it will take just a moment here. Now I waited for everything to complete. All of my apps have moved over and everything else. You of course can see the notch here, but let's go ahead and take a look at speed test now. So the overall background processing shouldn't really affect it too much. And let's see what we get first on Wi-Fi since we have Wi-Fi 6. So again, we got over 1,000 down before. Now we only have Wi-Fi 6, no 6E or 7. Again, most people will not really notice the difference here. And the reason is 700 megabits per second down is plenty fast to do pretty much anything you want. Of course, we're going to get the same upload speeds here as well. But let's see what the regular modem can handle once this is done. So 729 by 40.1. Let's turn off Wi-Fi and try this again. So again, we'll go back, tap go. And we're on 5G UC with 3 bars. So still getting better reception than I did on the 16 Pro Max. And speeds overall, about the same, around 200 to 300 megabits per second, 230 or so. And 240, so pretty good speeds, no complaints here, but nothing phenomenal. But faster speeds upload-wise. So we've got up to 5 megabits per second instead of 2. Again, I'm inside my house. I'm in a specific area of the house where I typically test this, and if I go outside, it should improve. But we are getting a little bit better upload speeds than I did on the other. So that gives you an idea of what to expect. When it comes to the overall benchmarks, well, first let's go into Geekbench 6. I ran a few of them. I wasn't seeing great results, and I think that's because it's processing in the background and quite warm. But if we go back here, you'll see we have about 8 gigs of RAM, the latest chipset, and I'm actually running the Geekbench on the other phone right now since it cooled down for a bit. So let's let this finish and see what we get. Benchmarks just completed, and you'll see I have a few here, and some of these restored from my 16 Plus. So this score here is from a 16 Plus, on the right is from the 16E. So 3003 for single core, 7317 for multi-core. I know some people have seen higher scores, so far I haven't. So if we go into CPU history, I've run it twice, right after it installed or set up for the first time. It had really poor scores, and it may improve over some time after it finishes processing in the background. but I wanted to share the initial test. Again, you can see that stutter, and that's just something that's a bit disappointing, definitely due to iOS 18 though. When it comes to who this is for and would I recommend it, well, this is for very select people. People who want a 6.1-inch display, don't mind 60 hertz, don't mind the notch, but want the absolute best battery life at this size. Maybe it's free or very cheap from a carrier, but honestly, the one thing I would recommend is for this price, $599, go pick up a 15 Pro. There's no reason to pick this phone up with the 15 Pro out there at the same price. The 15 Pro has additional lenses, so you get more camera options. You've got ultra wide, telephoto, macro. You'll also get Apple Intelligence, all of the different features that you get with a Pro model, and it's very hard to recommend this specific device. I don't understand why many people would buy it unless it's free. I do see maybe these selling a lot to maybe corporate environments where they just need to buy a lot of phones, get a discount on them, and have them be fairly basic. But when you have everything out there, such as the iPhone 16, the only advantage here is battery life specifically. That's it. That's the only difference whatsoever. We have MagSafe, we have an ultra wide, we have different options. We even have camera control. We have colors that you might want more than just black or white. Lots of different options here. So it's very hard to recommend this device. Now, I will be using this full time as my main device for a little while just to see what it's like, but these huge bezels are definitely noticeable. The notch doesn't bother me at all, but some people really miss the dynamic island. And again, if this was maybe $499 or $449, this could be recommended. But at $599, it's just a very hard sell. I don't really think I can recommend it at that price, but if it was $349, $449, then maybe I could recommend it. But again, if it's free from your carrier, I often see deals where it's free for the 16 or the 16 Pro with trade-in. So I would opt for that, or again, the 15 Pro. But let me know if there's anything specifically you want to know about these particular devices. Again, no MagSafe. No MagSafe in the cases is a huge missed opportunity. And the modem is what I'm most concerned about or most interested in. I want to try out the modem and see what it's like to use, since it may give better reception and have better efficiency. But other than that, I think this is an odd choice by Apple as basically their low-end phone, which is still too expensive. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.